to New York now, and Leigh. Leigh, how are you, mate? How are you feeling?
Happy Christmas. Yeah. Well, I think on this game, I agree with. I caught the end of your comments at the start. I agree with everything you said. Thought Sonny looked tired. I don't think Son can play with his back to goal. Anytime anyone pushes up on him, he loses the ball. I thought Kulu looked tired. I think it was the worst I've seen him. It would have been hard to leave him out. But I get more nervous now. Like, I'm sure most people get nervous when we play the ball back to Forster and he's kind of trying to do a 6-yard pass. I get more nervous now when we're on the edge of the box and it takes one pass in a failed transition for them to be completely up the other end. And it's, I mean, they had a couple of chances, but you could see it coming and there's just no cover. And I don't know. It's a lot of people have echoed the same theme of definition of madness being doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome. And it just felt like that. So I think today just had a horrible sort of predictable feel to it.
It really did. I just want to talk about something that I found quite ironic based on what you just said about that kind of hole in central midfield that I mentioned a lot during the watch along. There was a game when Nuno was in charge of Spurs when we went to the Emirates, and we literally my recollection of it is watching it in the pub and just being like, there is not a single central midfielder on that pitch for Tottenham Hotspur. And yet today, when they were on transition, it was the same for Spurs. And Morgan Gibbs-White, time and time again, just having the entire pitch to make his choice as to what to do with. Now, listen, I'll actually agree with Mr. Box, obviously. I think Ange is a great man manager. I do. And I get that I get that he has felt like Tottenham need a mentality shift from top to bottom of the club and that attacking football is the way to go. But in games like this, when the shit is already hitting the fan in terms of the form that the team are on, and where you're playing a team like Forest, who literally don't allow you to play attacking football.
Right.
So to some degree, when I talk about tweaks, and where I would agree with people is, if you're not able to play attacking football against a certain team anyway, then try and find different things to do to get around it. And today, for me, the one thing that I would say, and I think I did say in my post-match reaction, is get some more crosses in the box.
Yeah,
like try and get some crosses in the box.
How can we? I mean, how many second balls did we win? Not many.
I mean, very few, very few. And that's, you know, there's a lot of kind of what I would describe as kind of pussyfooting around from Spurs players going into 50-50s. I mean, and that's why actually when Jed Spence got his second booking, or when Dragusin took his booking in the first half, stopping, that was a professional foul. I don't mind that. When Jed Spence got his second booking, I was like, well, part of me is like, well, at least he's going in for a challenge. But I don't know. Like, I listen. Taking bad result after bad result is difficult. And I would still, like I said, I'd still say I think it's probably worth sticking with Ange, but it's tiresome, isn't it?
I don't know. Yeah, there's a great quote in business that I love, which is hope is not a strategy. And I feel like it's all we've got. If you listen to most of us talk, we're like, oh, we'll get some players back. Maybe we'll go on a run. Maybe we'll get through Liverpool. Maybe Ange will tweak it. And actually, it doesn't marry up with what we're actually seeing. And I think our reality is we're probably going to get some players back. But like, do you remember Maddison last year when he came back? It took him ages to get back. I don't know if he ever really got back up to speed. So this idea that we're going to have this influx of our players and then we're suddenly going to go on a run feels hopeful, but maybe even sort of naive. You were talking about league position. I'm like, what? Why? I don't want us to be there, but we're probably going to be where we are now, unless something dramatic happens. And as for the cups, I'm after last week, I want to be hopeful about Liverpool over 2 legs, but it's pretty hard to feel that way. They probably will rotate, but they'll do it well. So I don't want Ange sacked, but I think I'm in that position of having been a fan for a long, long time of not what I want to happen, what do I think is going to happen? And what I think is going to happen is exactly what you said. Like, I can't see how you can be, if we lose over all the next few games over Christmas, we get tonked by Liverpool at home first week of January. That's a tough one. That's a real tough one.
I'm going to try and flip the narrative a little bit from what I've been saying, just to kind of offer up another possibility here. Is there a chance, hypothetically, that, you know, Scott Munn and Johan Lange are currently having a word with the agents of the likes of Iraola and Thomas Frank and saying to them, would you be interested? And if they get any positive replies, is there a chance that Daniel Levy will look at the situation Spurs are in and think, if I bring in someone like that, we might win the Europa League, and that would be the only chance we can get in the Champions League? Because we all know previously Daniel Levy's sackings have always been, well, it looks like we're not going to get in the Champions League, so we've got to make a change.
Yeah.
Is there any chance that happens?
I'm casting my mind back to Ryan Mason leading us out in the last time we went in the final. There's a chance, but I think if I was them, I would be. I don't know why they would leave now. I could see them potentially leaving at the end of the season to come to us. I fear for the our MO, which is whatever point let's face it, if Levy sticks with him to the end of the season, that would be a new. That's very different for us, right? That's not Levy's MO. If we're in 12th and we're out of the cups, if he fires him in the new year, maybe you could get, Harry Redknapp was at I can't remember if he was at Portsmouth or where he was when he came late, but I think those guys are probably going to say, I'll come at the end of the season, and in which case we're probably going to see Ryan Mason again. So then you start going, well, is it better to keep Ange? So it's really hard to know, but to answer your question, if they got any positive inclination, then it's probably likely. I just don't know why they would do it now. I think they would come at the end of the season, but maybe not now. Yeah,
and Iraola certainly took quite a long time to get his processes into that Bournemouth team as well. Okay, Leigh, what like I said, we've got Wolves and Newcastle coming up. The thing that really worries me is not only how much those two teams will enjoy sitting back and hitting us on the break, and Newcastle certainly have better players to do
if
that.
You're Isaac right now, you're like, come on, let's just straight there.
Exactly. But also the biggest worry is just how fatigued. And I have to say, I would agree. I saw some comments. I would agree that I'm now at the point where I'm not sure how much of it is fatigue and how much of it is the Spurs players just being like, this isn't working.
Yeah, I've got a sense that they still are trying and still believe. I don't think anyone's down in tools, but this fatigue piece is so marked that it's not that you can see people not tracking back. Everyone's trying, they just can't get there. Like that Udogie thing today, I think he did his best, but it's his first game back. So I don't know how you solve for that other than I don't know. I thought Kulu today, for example, was he needs a break. He needs a break at some point. He's been our best player by miles, but I thought Maddison came on. Has Maddison torn up trees? Not really, but he's looked lively. So I don't feel like they've given up, but I don't know. What do you do about a squad who's absolutely knackered? I mean, we're in a bunch of competitions. They can't go off to Dubai for a long weekend, so. Yeah, I'm not sure how you solve for that, but they looked. And Johnson today, I think one of the other people said, he's hardly played, and after the first half, he seemed to be walking around. I'm like, how can you be tired? So maybe that's a mental thing.
Leigh, thanks so much, mate. Thanks for being part of the show today, and hope to speak to you after another game soon. Cheers. Have a good rest of your Christmas.
You got it.